Hi there guys, so this, which is going to be the final instalment of the Airfix Little Nellie 1/24th scale Autogyro build. As you can see, there's been a little more progress, and I wanted to show this bit just at the moment, just to show the engine, which looks really nice with a bit of dry brushing, as I anticipated it would, despite its very basic moulding. And just essentially just to show this before the cooling shrouds go on. So here you can see with some heavy dry brushing of some gunmetal and some steel colour to pick out the carburettor and the intake port up here, that engine does indeed actually look quite nice. So far, from the last instalment, it's been an absolute pig and nothing has fit easily at all. It's been really awkward to fit. The frames that hold the side of the engine on have needed some major bending and tweaking and adjusting to get everything to sort of tuck in roughly where it should be. I've had to pull up the bottom tube, which is not hugely obvious, I guess, but you can kind of see that that's no longer a straight tube. And then the downside of that was it meant that this little bit here was hitting the propeller there because it was bent up so much. So I had to snip some of that off and reshape it and repaint it so that that's not actually contacting the propeller there. Now pay attention, 007. 2 machine guns, forward firing, synchronized to 100 yards, firing incendiaries and high explosives. Rocket launchers, forward firing, one either side. Heat-seeking air-to-air missiles. Aerial mines, be sure to use them only when directly above the target. Cine camera. Flamethrowers, firing astern at a distance of 80 yards. Next door to them, smoke ejectors. Right, have you got that, 007? Good. So here's Little Nellie in all her glory, and this is the old Airfix kit, and I'm just going to quickly go through the materials used and what's been done regarding the kit. It's an out-of-box build, with the exception of just adding a few 2 or 3 detail pieces, those being the wire, the aerial or pitot tube. I'm not sure what that is on the front there. It's I don't know whether it's an aerial or a pitot tube. This is slightly oversized, but I felt that it was quite fitting with the look of the kit. And you don't get one supplied with the kit, but if you look at the real thing on the bond film, it has a very fine sort of wire coming out of the front. I think it might actually be an antenna, but I'm not 100% sure. I have cut and modified the rocket pods here because these had a big lump under here and then a little lever and a lump at the back, so that you were able to use these rockets, which I will attempt to show you. These rockets here, which slot together and then would clip in, and obviously designed to use with something like a pen spring, and then you could use a lever at the back to release them and fire them, which is kind of cool, but it's not accurate to the model, and I want this as a display model, not a toy. It's too fragile to use as a toy realistically anyway. Up here, the windscreen, I gave up on the aftermarket one that I'd made because trying to get this thing to stick was just proving impossible, although this is still much more scale realistic thickness wise. But that said, unless you're looking at this direction on, the thickness is not hugely evident. Ignore the front wheel that's just fallen off there. That's not actually glued on, it's just fitted onto the front oleo strut. I'll pop that back on in a moment. So I've used the original windscreen there, and up here I've added some thin wire shaped up and leading to the carburettor to represent the throttle cable. And then just up here, while we're on the subject of the engine, I've also added some thin pieces of wire painted black to represent the HT leads and the spark plug caps, because they're missing from the engine and they're quite a prominent noticeable feature. Other than that, it's entirely out of box. The fit was a bit of a nightmare. I've had to do a bit of bending and tweaking to get things to fit. I've had to cut part of this off here because it was actually contacting the back of the propeller, because to get these struts down here connected to this boom, I had to bend the boom up a little. So it's an old Airfix kit, but you know, it's it wasn't too bad, but some of the bits were a little bit of a struggle to fit. Having a recent flick through eBay and looking at one, I was actually looking for something else to do with 24th scale Airfix planes, as it happens, but looking at one of these, this particular kit here that you can see on the screen, I saw that and I thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't have built this and I should have left it in its box. But to be honest, I think this particular fella is either this is either a mistype, or this particular fella has been sniffing melted sprue, I think. I'm now going to pop this on the rotating stand, and we'll get some close-up shots of that rotating, and then finish the video with some still shots as I've done with previous ones. I hope you've enjoyed the build, and thank you for watching.